my reminder to clock out. Just clock out when this is over, obviously.
I want to welcome everyone to Are You Verified, the FAFSA verification process. We are just going to get started in a few more minutes. I'd like to welcome everyone to Are You Verified, the FAFSA verification process. We are going to get started. As we go through this afternoon, I encourage you to put questions in the question and answer Q&A portion of your screen. Maya and Morgan will stop throughout the webinar to answer questions that I will pose to them. And I would love to introduce our webinar speakers today. The first is Morgan Blue. Morgan is an advisor for USC's College Advising Corps. She's a graduate of Cal State Long Beach and is going into her third year advising and is currently placed at Santee Educational Complex in the South Los Angeles area, where she has assisted more than 1,000 students with their college planning. Morgan was born in Los Angeles, California, into a low-income household. When she began high school, she was nowhere near competent in some of the guidelines and requirements for college, and this sparked her interest in investing time to understand the process of being college-bound. She has been a foster youth camp counselor and a youth dance instructor for the past 5 years and has found it to be very rewarding. After graduating from Cal State Long Beach and seeing how many students around her, as well as her younger siblings, lacked the knowledge needed in order to complete the college steps, she took action to join the field of college advising. Helping create opportunities and sharing information about college options excites her to make a difference. Maya Tillman is a college advisor at K-State College Advising Corps. Maya is also going into her third year as a college advisor in Kansas City, serving students in person and virtually. She graduated from Kansas State University with a bachelor's in journalism and mass communications. She is currently working on her master's degree in higher education and student affairs, set to be done this December. Maya is going into her 5th year of working in college advising. She previously worked as an admissions representative before she started college advising. She enjoys helping students along their educational journeys and providing as many resources as she can. Thank you, Maya and Morgan, and I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. So hi, everybody. Welcome to the FAFSA Verification Are You Verified webinar. So I'm Maya Tillman.
And I'm Morgan Blue. And we're just going to go ahead and go into the presentation.
Great. So, oh, go ahead.
So we're gonna go ahead and start off with a question. So you guys can go ahead and answer this question in the polls. So the first question is, how much do you know about FAFSA verification process? You guys just answer it accordingly on the poll. Alrighty, so most people know a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna be here. We are here for you guys to be able to answer any questions that you might have for FAFSA verification and clear up any like questions that you might have or anything like that. So what is FAFSA verification? So FAFSA verification is when a student is selected by the Department of Education to provide additional information regarding their finances. Some students are selected randomly, and some students are selected because information on their FAFSA may need to be corrected. Students are sent documents to fill out and return to the Department of Education and or their future college. So basically, FAFSA verification is just a way that the schools they pick random people and they want more information regarding your parents' taxes or your income. So it's just a way for them to understand more so that they can, so that they're able to give you the correct amount of financial aid for your school semester. So we have a little fun fact. About 1/3 of students that complete the FAFSA are selected for verification each year. And so we say that so you guys don't feel like, oh, they're always picking on me, like verification are always wanting my information, but the person in the next group is probably needed verification. I always feel like I needed verification, but it's picked randomly, so don't feel bad. And then how do you know if you've been selected? So there are a few ways for you to know that if you've been selected or not. So after you finish your financial aid, you'll get something called a student aid report or SAR. And next to your EFC, your estimated family contribution, there'll be an asterisk mark next to it. And that's a way for you to be able to know if you've been selected for verification. Some schools will also mail you a letter letting you know that they need additional documentation as far as your taxes or your parents' taxes, or some colleges will email you directly, or they'll message you on your student portal, which is why it's very important for you to make sure that you're checking your to-do list or your checklist so that you won't miss out on any information. Because say for instance, you don't go and you check your online student portal, you could have missed the deadline for verification, and that means you missed the chance to be able to get your financial aid, or there's additional steps that you have to do for financial aid. So, yeah.
All right, so this is an example of a student online portal. So it's going to look a little bit different depending on what college you're going to, but this is similar to what most colleges use in terms of like software. So over here on the right side, it's circled where it says to-do list. So this is usually where it would say where or what type of forms that you're going to be required to fill out. So it'll be the dependent verification form, or just how many people are in your household form, or whatever type of form it is. It's going to be right here where it says to-do list. And sometimes they do come with holds. So you may see a hold up here where it says like this person doesn't get financial aid released until the form below is completed or something like that. But inside your portal, this is what it would look like and where you'd be able to find it and what forms you would need. So these are examples of some verification forms. So on the left side, this is a form from Kansas State University. It's a dependent verification form, just wanting to know how many people are in your household. The big thing about filling out verification forms is really just making sure you read every single part of the form. So you put all the information correctly and that you're putting exactly what it is that they ask you for. So this is everyone that lives in your household, their birth date, what their relationship is to you. And then only if the person is attending college the same time you're attending college, you would fill in what college they're going to. And then you sign it, have your parents sign it, and then you would send it back to the university. And over here on the right side, this is from a different university. And this one, as you can see, is a little bit more wordy. And there's a lot of different options for these check boxes. And there's links and phone numbers and a whole lot of other stuff on here. So making sure you're reading line by line exactly what it's asking you for and you're answering everything correctly is going to be the biggest thing with filling out verification forms. Because some forms it says, if you did the IRS data retrieval tool on the FAFSA, then you don't need to fill out the rest of the form. But it may say it in really small print, and you just have to make sure that you read that. So that way you're not doing any sort of extra work when you already did most of the work when you filled out the FAFSA the first time. Right. So that's the big thing with forms, is just reading and making sure that you do as much as you can the most correct way as possible. All right, so we have this is something that it's not a poll, but you can put it in the chat box. Who are you most likely to call for FAFSA help? So counselors, teachers, big brother, big sisters, who are you most likely to call?
Maya.
Oh, someone said me. Oh, that's cool. Aunt, counselors, okay. And if you have questions, remember to put them in the Q&A box, which is a different box than the chat box. The FAFSA office, financial aid office, parents. Okay. So different types of people, definitely counselors, teachers, college advisors, your parents, if your parents went to college, they can help you out. Also the financial aid office, whoever put financial aid office at the college, that's always a great place to go to as well, because those are going to be the people that you're going to have to work with once you get to the college anyway. So it's great to just go ahead and get familiar with them ahead of time. They already know who you are and your situation, and kind of start building that relationship early. So we will keep on moving.
Okay, so how do you obtain tax information? So we're gonna go over some regular ways that you would get your tax information, and then due to COVID-19, the different ways that you would go about it that way as well. So generally, when they ask for your parents' tax transcript, which is usually what they ask for when they do verification, you would go to irs.gov, and then when you log in, you would go to the section where it says tax records, and then you would need your parents' social security number and a proof of a line of credit. So, and then once you do that, then you can go ahead and download an electronic version of the tax transcript. Let's say, for instance, your parents don't have a social security, or they have a social security, but they don't have a line of credit. You would still go to irs.gov, but you will request the transcript through mail. And that's how you would generally do it. Now, due to COVID-19, the only option that you have right now is to do it through irs.gov like regular, but you would have to do the downloading version. Like the IRS during this time is not mailing out any tax transcripts. So with that being said, we advise you guys to go ahead and call the colleges that you'll be going to and see what practices they're doing during this time, because some schools are having you like submit it directly online. Some schools are having you like scan it and put it into the student portal. So you have to call the colleges to kind of figure out what they're doing and let them know that you can't get your tax transcript right now because the IRS isn't giving them out during this time as far as mailing them. And then this is just another breakdown of the process that we talked about before as far as getting the transcript online and then getting it through the mail. So it tells you the things that you would need. You would need your parents' 2018 taxes. and then either download it or have a copy of them. And then you would go ahead and put the information in from your parents' social security and their line of credit, and then you'll be able to get the transcript online. And then number 4 is that you know that you can get it through the mail. And then at the bottom, if you have any questions as far as like you don't understand what's going on as far as the taxing, as far as getting the tax transcript process, you can go ahead and call that number and see what other steps you can do or how they can explain it to you further. Thank you. So if you're a DACA student or you're undocumented, you would still go to irs.gov and you would get the tax transcript online. You would need your parent, if your parents don't have a social security number, you would need their ITIN number. The ITIN number is on the tax, on your parents' taxes that they completed. It usually starts with the number 9. So that's how you can differentiate if it's a social security or if it's a ITIN number. And like we said before, as of right now, the IRS isn't mailing out any tax transcripts by mail. So you would have to call the university or the college and see what your next steps would be as far as obtaining your tax transcripts.
All right, so there are a few different ways to submit your required verification forms. So they're all lots of different ways. So you can print it, sign it, scan it, and then email the form to the financial aid office at your college. Print it, sign. You can mail the form through the mail. You can fax the form if you have a fax machine, either at your home or if you have an access to a fax machine, maybe at a local library or something like that. You could drop it off in person at the college. So right now that may not be a great option just due to different restrictions and limitations that colleges may have with people coming to the campus because of COVID-19, but whenever things do get semi back to normal, that's an option as well if you live close to the college that you're planning on going to. And then there's also printing, signing, scanning it, and then uploading the form to your online portal. So back where we showed the screenshot of the portal, sometimes there would be a little space where it says like you can upload any sort of documents, click this link to get to that part of the portal. So it really just depends on your college. Usually on the form, so let me see if I can go back. On the form, it'll say like you can securely upload it here, or you can deliver it in person or mail it here. So they kind of give you some different options on the form itself on how they want you to do that. But if you're interested, you can just always call the college and ask them like, hey, what way do you want me to fill this out and send it back to you? So a big thing here, this all involves printing the form first. So I know a lot of people don't have printers at home. So if you don't have a printer, you can digitally sign the form and then email it or submit it online to your college's financial aid office. And this is a screenshot. This is the MacBook screenshot. So I'm not exactly sure how it would look on another type of device that isn't an Apple device. But what you would do is you would open up the PDF. They're mostly PDFs. Open it up in preview, or if you have like Adobe Acrobat or something like that, or Adobe Reader, open it up, and then you can click on this little button over here that's like the markup edit button, so you can edit the document. And then this right here where my signature is where it'll ask you to draw the signature on your mouse pad on your computer or laptop. And then you can just place that signature on the line where it asks you to sign the form. So that's how you can digitally sign a form. Some colleges don't allow digital signatures, but I think right now in the time of the coronavirus and COVID-19, you can always contact them and just ask them like, hey, I don't have a printer, I don't have a way to print the form and sign it physically. Is there another way I can submit it, or can I do it digitally? And then they'll be able to let you know from there. Because you definitely want to get the form done. Don't give up. Like if you don't have a printer, or if you don't have a way to get it turned in any other way, don't give up and just not do it, because you're not going to get money. So you have to fill out the form. So it's best to just call and ask like, hey, how do I fill it out? Please let me know, and go from there. All right, so we're going to pause for questions that are in the question and answer box. And if you have questions, go ahead and type them now.
So the first question is, can you explain what a line of credit is? You said that's one of the things you need.
So a line of credit is like if your parents have a credit card and they've been paying on the credit card, or another thing that they ask for is if your parents own a house and they, well, if they're paying mortgage on a home. And I think that's the two things that they really ask for, is if they have a credit card and they pay on that, or maybe they have like, they bought something at a jewelry store. I know that can be another line of credit. They just want to see, they just want to have record of some kind of payments that they've made so that they can look it up in the system. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. If someone has already completed the FAFSA for one college, does that change anything for the process of completing it for another one?
No, it shouldn't. As long as you, on the FAFSA, there's going to be a place where it asks you to list all the colleges that you want to send your financial information to. So as long as you list all the colleges that you're interested in, then they all get the same financial information.
We've had a couple questions about how folks can access this webinar after it's aired, and I just want to let people know that it will be shared via your email, so people know that. Can you all answer, how can someone apply for financial aid if their parents don't have a social security number?
So financial aid, so you have two different financial aids. You have FAFSA, and then you have California Dream Act. Now the FAFSA, even if your parents don't have a social security number and you have a social security number, you still apply for FAFSA. It's about what, like if you have a social, or if you don't have a social. Say for instance, you don't have a social, then you would do the California Dream Act. So it's about your social security status, not so much your parents.
Thank you. And I know that this is this webinar is about FAFSA verification after you've submitted your FAFSA, but can you just talk a little bit about when the deadline for completing a FAFSA is originally?
So there's different state deadlines, and then there's different college deadlines. So there's two sets basically. So depending on what college you're going to, I know some of the like larger colleges, they may have like November, December deadlines, and then other colleges that may be a little bit more like lenient. They may have like maybe February or March deadlines for the FAFSA. You just have to research whatever college that you're interested in to see what their deadline is. And then there's state deadlines, which should be listed on the federal student aid website. So we're in the Midwest, so like Kansas's deadline is April 1st for the FAFSA, and I want to say Missouri's deadline is like March 1st. So those would be like in a little bit of the springtime. But the biggest thing would be filling it out by the time your college has their deadline. So that college specifically will give you money for financial aid.
Thank you. We're going to take just a couple more right now, and then we'll pause for questions later. Do you have a sense of how long it takes for colleges to update financial awards to the portal after the submission of all these documents?
It honestly, it depends on the school. With everything going on right now, it took the schools a little bit longer. So say for instance, you turned it in on time and everything was fine. Usually it takes the school about a month, maybe more. With everything that's going on now, it could take maybe a month and a half, 2 months. If it goes over a month, I always tell my students, if it goes over a month, go ahead and call the school, because you want to make sure that they have all your information. You want to make sure they have the right email, because sometimes that can be wrong. You want to make sure that you've made your portal already. You know, they could be emailing you directly through your portal. So that's another reason why logging into your portal and see if you need to be verified for something, because sometimes schools won't give you your financial aid package unless you've completed your FAFSA verification if needed already. So if it's longer than a month, call the school.
Okay, and we're going to take one more for now, and then we'll come back to questions later. Do you know, once you've submitted the forms, if you are allowed to look back on what you've submitted?
I would always say just to keep a copy. So if you are doing it digitally, you would have to download it to your computer anyway in order to fill it out and then upload it to whatever portal or email that you're sending it to. So I would say always just keep a copy of whatever forms that you're filling out, just to make sure, like, maybe you did fill something out wrong that you noticed later, and you just let the college know, like, hey, I put the wrong birth date or something for somebody, so please, take this new updated form that I have. So keeping copies is the big thing.
Right.
All right. Well, keep questions coming in the Q&A box. And do you all want to continue on?
Okay. Oh, too far. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Are you hitting the back button?
Yeah, I'm trying.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, because it's not working on mine. Thank you. Sorry about that. So now we're going to go into the scenario portion of all the information we've given you guys. We want to see how you guys would deal in a situation just in case any of these scenarios happen to you. So the first scenario is Cheyenne has completed her financial aid application and receives an email from Cal State University, Los Angeles, that she needs to turn in tax records from her parents' 2018 taxes. Cheyenne goes to irs.gov, and her parents do have a social security number. However, they do not have a line of credit. Cheyenne is now stuck because it will not let her move on to the next portion of making an account without some line of credit. What should she do? So answer in the chat box. What should Cheyenne do? How would you help Cheyenne?
Okay, we got it. I don't know. That's okay.
All right. So I saw I didn't know, so I'm gonna go with that. So earlier we talked about how if you don't have a line of credit, your next step would be still logging into irs.gov, but your parents would need to request a tax transcript through mail. So in order for you to get the tax transcript by like mobile, like downloading it, you would need your your parents' social security, and your parents will have to have a line of credit. A line of credit would either be a credit card that they pay on or mortgage that they pay on. So that's how Cheyenne would figure out how to get her tax transcript. She would have to get it by mail.
All right. So to the next scenario. So James filled out his FAFSA in November and put his sister's information in the parent section. He got his expected family contribution number and his student aid report just fine. And then a few months go by and it's now April. The college James is going to sends him a verification form asking to show proof that his sister is his legal guardian. His sister is not his legal guardian. She just claimed James on his taxes that year. What do you think James should do next? You can put your answers in the chat. So answers in the chat box, questions about other things in the question and answer box. Okay, we got I don't know. We have call FAFSA. Okay. All right, so the next thing that James should do, so if you didn't know this, you can go into the FAFSA and make corrections. So once you complete the FAFSA, you should be able to see the student aid report, which is basically just a summary of the information that you put into the FAFSA. So if you see anything wrong on there, You can go right back into the FAFSA website. There's a link that says make corrections right on the home page when you log into your account. So he would just have to go back in and then take out his sister's information and then put one of his parents' information. So depending on which parent he lives with, or if they live together and they're married, then they can go ahead and he can put both parents on there. So the big thing is that it doesn't matter who claims you on the taxes. So just because his sister claimed him doesn't mean that she's the person that he would put on his FAFSA information. So just go in and just make the corrections, upload the right thing, and then that new information is going to be updated and then sent out to the colleges again whenever the corrections and things are being made. Yeah, someone said redo it. So you don't want to redo the whole FAFSA. You would just do make corrections option. So it's definitely less work to just fix one thing versus redoing the whole thing altogether. So please just make corrections. Don't do it all together. Okay. Awesome. So if you have questions, put them in the question box so we can get to them later.
Okay, so now we're just going to go over a few reminders, things that you guys kind of already know, but we just want to reinforce them again. So we're going to go over the FAFSA timeline. Okay, there. Okay, so this just breaks down basically the whole FAFSA process and everything that goes on during and after. So in the beginning, it tells you, just relax. FAFSA is stressful, but it's, it's easy. It doesn't take that long. Once everything gets going, you'll be fine. Then it tells you preparing for the FAFSA, the things that you'll need. So you'll need your social security number. You'll need your parents' information. You'll need your parents' taxes, and if they have any other income that they have, you'll need that information. And then same thing, filling out the FAFSA. You need the basics, a computer, some kind of technology, and just the same thing, the paperwork that you'll need. And making sure that you meet those financial aid deadlines when it's due so that you can be able to get the financial aid that you'll need. And then processing the financial aid. So as far as the processing timeline goes, so once you do your financial aid, you'll get an email saying that it's been processed. Then you'll say, for instance, you have to do a signature page. You'll get another email saying that it's been processed after your parent's signature has been processed through the system. That takes about 2 weeks. So it just depends if you did an electronic signature or your parents have to do a signature page. And then for first-time applicants, basically the same thing. You have to wait for those emails. If you don't get the emails within like 2 weeks, I always tell my kids to go ahead and check and make sure that your information was put in correctly. And then if you are like a sophomore in college, you have to renew your application. If you didn't know, you have to renew your application every year that you're in college. Just a heads up. And then receiving the financial aid, that you get that from the college. You don't get it directly from FAFSA. FAFSA is just a tool that the schools use to know how much money that you'll need. And then they send it to the school, and then the school is the one who disperses your financial aid. So again, if you're not getting any emails from your school saying anything about financial aid, and your financial aid package isn't popping up on your school, on your student portal, that's when you need to go ahead and call the school, and then maybe the school tell you need to call FAFSA to get something cleared up, and then you'll go on from that, from there. So that's basically the FAFSA process. Mine, can you click over? Mine isn't working. Mm-hmm. And then this is basically another breakdown of what to do after the FAFSA. So you want to check your status, like I was saying, after you complete your FAFSA. It takes it, once you do the electronic signature, it's processed immediately. If you're doing the parent signature, because say for instance your parents have a social security number, it takes about 2 weeks for them to be able to get everything done as far as processing. So then you want to log back in 2 weeks later and then check and make sure everything's been processed. If it hasn't been processed, then you need to call the financial aid and see what's going on. And once you complete it, everything's been processed, you'll get an SAR report, and you want to download that report and keep it for safekeeping just in case something pops up or you notice that you made a mistake, which brings me to step number 3. Check your SAR for any mistakes, because you have to make sure that your name is right. You want to make sure that your address is right, all the information is correct, birthdays are correct, because it can mess up the FAFSA process. And then say for instance, you do notice that you made a mistake, you want to go ahead, like Maya said, log into your FAFSA and go ahead and make a correction. Once you make a correction, you do have to submit it again. So every time you make a correction, make sure you submit it again so that all the schools that are on there can get the information needed. And make sure you add all your colleges that you're going to. Even if you're thinking like, I don't know if I'm gonna go to that college, I would still tell you to go ahead and put it on there just in case. You have up to 10 spaces to be able to fill out 10 spots for colleges at a time. And then once you get your financial aid package from your school, from your college, you want to go ahead and review your financial aid letter, see what the schools are offering you, compare. If you feel like maybe they didn't give you enough, you can sometimes ask them for more, but you don't have to go through an appeal process and everything like that. So that's how that process goes after you already finish your financial aid, your FAFSA. Thank you. So FAFSA verification process. Oh wait, am I doing this one? Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm doing this. So you're just going through the steps again. You're gathering your tax documents from your parents, their 2018 taxes, or next year will be 2019 taxes, their W-2s, or any other tax information that they might have, tax documents. You're going to complete your verification worksheets if you've been asked to verify. And if you have questions about that, make sure you ask somebody. Don't do it if you're not sure. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then you're either going to mail or email or upload those worksheets onto the school website or to the school, just depending on how they want you to do it. And then once you sent your documents, you want to always make sure you follow up, at least check and make sure everything was sent correctly. Because sometimes, I can't tell you how many times I have students saying, well, miss, I promise you I sent it, I turned it in, but you have to check, you need to follow up to make sure that that information was sent to them correctly. And if it's not, you want to catch it early so that you can be able to do it the way that it needs to be done.
Yep. All right, so these are some helpful tips and reminders just about the FAFSA. So it opens up on October 1st, 2020 of this year. So for those of you that just finished your junior year and you're going into your senior year, October 1st is the day that it's going to open. It's online. You can do it on the FAFSA website, but they also have an app. I think it's just called Student Aid.
Student Aid, yeah.
Student Aid on the App Store or the Google Play Android store. You do the FAFSA every single year, like Morgan said, every year that you're in college, you have to do the FAFSA. You only put your parent information, regardless of who claims you on their taxes. So not your sister or your aunt or your grandma, or unless they have legal guardianship of you, like they went to court and they signed paperwork saying, I am your legal guardian, then you would only put your parent information on the FAFSA. And then list all the colleges that you're considering. So if you're like, oh, you know, like I applied to like 6 schools, but I really only want to consider the top 3, just put all 6, because you just never know what's going to happen. Or like maybe your bottom 3 are going to give you more money than your top 3, but right. you have to put them on your FAFSA in order to find that out on who's going to give you the most amount of money. And then inform your college of any special circumstances that affect your financial situation. So usually for FAFSA, special circumstances could be if one or more of your parents are deceased, if one or more of your parents are incarcerated, like they're in prison or in jail, if you were adopted at some point, or you were in foster care at some point in your life, if you were homeless at any point in time. So like if any of those categories are something that you fall under, that you relate to, definitely just make sure you put it on the FAFSA. There's questions on the FAFSA that ask you about those things, but also just make sure your college knows as well, because they may have some other sort of special verification paperwork or something else that they can offer you for being in one of those categories. So some tips and reminders. And then here are some great resources and websites to go to. So just the federal student aid, studentaid.gov. That's where you go to fill out the FAFSA, but then they also have really helpful like infographics and just the frequently asked questions page, the facts page has really good information on there if you have any questions about just filling out the FAFSA and just how the whole process works in general. the IRS website, so irs.gov, and then this is like a longer link. So there's specific information on the IRS website about getting your tax information just for your FAFSA. And then the studentaid.gov, FAFSA, Federal Student Aid, they have their own YouTube channel. They have lots of cool videos on there just about how to fill it out and how to make an account. And then the USC Corps, which Morgan is a part of, they have a YouTube channel. And then the Hybrid College Advising Team, which I'm a part of, we have a YouTube channel as well. So feel free to screenshot this or whatever you need to do, just to make sure you go to these websites. There's lots of videos and tutorials on how to do things on there, which is usually easier than reading something and just watching someone show you how to do it. So definitely just remember these. And yeah, so what other questions do we have in the questions box?
Maya, do you want to go back to the last slide so people can reference it while we're answering questions?
Absolutely.
So a question is, the school that I decided to go to, I didn't add on my FAFSA. How do you add a school now?
Making corrections. So I would say go ahead and go back into the FAFSA, make the corrections, and then
you go to school selection.
So it'd be in the school selection part. I would say maybe also like just call the school and like let them know. If they don't already know that you're coming there, then I feel like usually they would come reach out to you like, hey, it looks like you didn't fill out your FAFSA. We want to give you money, but we can't because we don't know your financial information. So maybe just let the school know like, hey, I did my FAFSA, but I'm just adding you all and it should come up sometime soon, just to make sure, you know, all lines and stuff are covered.
Right.
We've had a few questions about if parents don't have social security numbers. Could you just review that information again?
As far as which financial aid the student would have to do?
Or how to fill out the form, yes.
Okay, so if your parents don't have a social security number for verification, you would do the verification through mail. If you're referring to filling out the financial aid, if your parents don't have a social security number, you still fill out, and you have a social security number, you still fill out the FAFSA. And then when it asks you for your parents' social security number, you don't put their ITIN number. So say for instance, they don't have a social, but they have an ITIN number that starts with the number 9. You would not put that number, you would just put all zeros. So you would put 9 zeros.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
If you were selected for verification 1 year, is it likely that you will have to redo the verification again for any of the following years?
Not always.
Yeah.
I feel like it happened to me every year.
Same.
Like once I got selected the first time, it happened every year. So it could be a possibility that you would have to do it every year, but it's not. It really just kind of depends.
So like
thing.
you would have to, so the way that I prepared is every year I would tell my parents, please just give me your taxes, give me a copy so I can just be prepared just in case. Because sometimes if you turn it in late, like my sophomore year, it held my financial aid. So I got my financial aid later than everybody else. So just having it ahead of time, just so you can be ready for it, like if they choose you.
Is there a deadline that it's too late to fix information on your FAFSA?
Not really. I think it really just kind of depends on how much later after your college's deadline that you have to go back and fix things. So if the college's deadline was December 1st and it's, you know, maybe like February or March and you're going back to make corrections, just to make sure you let the college know. Or they'll, I mean, that's kind of what verification is for too. So you get selected randomly, or if there was a mistake that was made, then that's kind of where the verification will come into play to make sure that you are updating the information and it's the most up-to-date and like accurate that you're giving the college.
Yeah, so the sooner the better.
Can you explain again what form you send if you don't have your parents' tax transcript?
It's not necessarily a form. It's so if you can't get it through mail, you call up to the school and you ask them, how would you send in your parents' taxes or tax transcript, or how would you verify your parents' taxes? So it's not necessarily a form. What some schools are doing, I've seen them doing this year, is they're telling you to send them a copy of your parents' like taxes or actual taxes, maybe like the first 2 pages, and sign the bottom, and then they use that as the tax verification, as a tax record, so that they can be able to see, you know, your parents do taxes and everything like that. So it's not necessarily a form. You just have to call up to the school and see what they're doing.
And how do you know if the college or FAFSA has received all of the verification forms?
They'll let you know. So FAFSA, they'll send you an email. If you have to like go in and make any sort of corrections or anything like that, they'll say like it's been successfully processed. Your college, I think most colleges really don't send out like a it's been processed type of email or it's been confirmed or anything. They'll just send you your financial aid package, and once you get that, then that's when you know that they received all the information. So really, it just kind of depends. I say like a couple weeks to a month, like how Morgan said. Just kind of wait, and then if you feel like you've been waiting too long, always just call. The default is just to call. No matter what type of like questions, if you feel like you've been waiting for a really long time, or if you haven't heard back from anybody, just call the college and say, hey, like it's been a whole month, or like it's been a month and a half. I just want to know like what my status is, and if there's anything else that I can do.
Oh, it is a spring. It is a spring.
Just waiting on any last questions that people might have.
Jen, there are a few questions that have come up in the chat that I've kept track of. So from Maya Morgan, a question was asked, can you do your FAFSA through the Common App?
No.
They're separate.
Yeah, the Common App is, if you're doing the Common App, you usually are doing a CSS profile. It's not necessarily like, well, you're doing FAFSA probably, but you're doing the CSS profile too on top of that. That's mainly what the private colleges use, what I've seen. But you don't do it on Common App.
They're all separate though. So Common App is college applications. CSS profile is a different type of financial aid form, and then the FAFSA is its own form. So you will go to 3 different websites and do 3 different types of forms.
Okay. And then someone also asked, how do they accept their financial aid package?
In your student portal, usually you would go in and it would ask you, I wonder, let me see. I can go back to the screenshot. Dun, dun, dun. So like over here where it says view financial aid, and then it says accept/decline awards, this is where you would go into your portal and then just accept or decline because you can, most people, they accept all the grants and scholarships and then decline the loans if you don't want to take out loans, but that's where you would do it, is inside your student portal. And I know some colleges, they may have you do it on paper and you can just check a box like of what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept, and then you mail it back to the college. So it kind of just depends on what your college wants you to do.
And there's another question that's referring to a TAP application. I'm not familiar with that.
Is that the Texas one?
Yeah, I think that's the Texas one.
Yeah, so there's for larger states, so there's a California, they have their own version of like a financial aid form, and then Texas is very large as well, and they have their own version of a financial aid form. Or you know, theirs might be called the TAFSA.
It's a TAFSA.
The TAFSA, yeah, and this is asking,
TAP.
TAP, T-A-P. Whenever I try to complete my TAP application, it tells me that I still haven't submitted my FAFSA. And I called TAP and I received no answer. I called FAFSA and they referred me back to TAP.
Is that like a college?
It's for New York State. It's a New York State higher education service, and it's for folks that are attending New York State schools.
Oh.
Yep. Okay.
Learn something new every day.
Leave it here.
So it sounds like Maya and Morgan might not be familiar with the TAP, but so the student who's asking about it, we can, what you can do is actually ask to speak to a college advisor who is familiar with the New York City processes, and we can put you in touch with someone who is. So however you learned about today's webinar, you can reply back to whatever email shared that information with you and request to schedule a meeting with a college advisor who is familiar with TAP.
I would also say maybe call someone that works
Right.
for
At
the
the
TAP program, or like
right.
the director of the TAP program or something like that, because they may be able to answer
Yeah,
that.
the students said they did call TAP, received no answer, and
Oh,
then called FAFSA, and FAFSA referred back to TAP.
oh, okay. Yeah.
So a question from the Q&A. If a person has a social security numbers and a parent does not have a social security number and their parents have foreign tax forms, should they submit the foreign tax forms for the FAFSA verification?
On the FAFSA, it asks you what what kind of tax forms it is. So I believe there's a section on FAFSA, might correct me if I'm wrong, for foreign tax forms.
Yeah,
from what I can remember.
Yeah, it'll ask you like what type of form your parent filled out. It'll say like US 1040, and then there's like another option, and then it says like, please check this box if your parent filled out foreign tax forms, and then you would check that box, and I believe it'll ask you like where they filled them out, and kind of go into like those types of questions. So it'll like populate the next section based on how you answer those questions.
So still fill out the FAFSA with your parents' taxes. You just have to answer probably additional questions, but you still use those taxes that they did.
And can you answer, how many schedules are on the Form 1040 to make sure that folks are sending the right pages for FAFSA verification?
I know there's Schedule 2. I know they've been asking for Schedule 2 a lot lately. Those are the changes that they made. I don't know if any other schedules that I've seen on the FAFSA that they've asked about. The only one I've seen is Schedule 2 lately. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, and for verification, just whichever, it should say on the verification form like exactly what it is that they wanting you to send back.
That is it for the Q&A. Felicia, any last questions in the chat?
I was waiting to see if when a student asked a question who raised their hand. I don't see it yet, but just as a reminder, while that person's maybe debating if they ask it or not, just as a reminder, the recording will be emailed to you all, to students who have attended. And then also, there have been additional presentations that have been recorded that are accessible to you too. And however you learned about today's webinar through email from Ollie, or Oli, you can you can reply back to that message to ask any follow-up questions after today's presentation, and also to request to schedule a meeting directly with a college advisor. Jen, it looks like there were a few more questions added to the Q&A.
Just can you review one more time how you upload documents for verification. You have that slide, correct?
Yes, so you can upload them to your student portal, or you can email them to the college's financial aid office. So here are like the different options. So email, mail, fax, may not drop them off in person or upload them to the portal. And so it would be over here in the to-do list. So this particular portal, this is Kansas State University's portal. They don't have like a secure option right here, but on the form itself, it says, please go to this particular website to securely upload your documents online. So on the form itself, it'll tell you where you can upload it or where you can send the form.
Okay.
All right. Maya and Morgan, thank you for sharing all of this information with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Resources, one last time.
There we go.
One last picture.
Oh, and then one last poll that we have. Do you feel like you've learned enough to navigate the FAFSA verification process?
And you can be honest.
And it's okay not to know everything.
Yes.
Oh, there's the poll.
Yeet.
Right?
Somebody from the Bay in here.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes, maybe, no. Okay, so mostly yeses and maybes, a few no's in there, but definitely reach out to your college advisor, whoever sent you the link to this webinar. They probably have some answers about something, so reach out to that person. You can go to our YouTube pages, you can go to the FAFSA's website themselves, and then when school starts back up, your college counselor, regular counselor, your teachers, all those things. Just use your support system as your main source of resources.
Right.
But yeah, that's it for us.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.